Don't let her see me cry." That's what Sarah Whitmore whispered to the nurse outside room 304, her hands shaking so violently she could barely hold the phone. Inside that room, her 7-year-old daughter Emma lay dying, leukemia ravaging her small body, hope evaporating with each failed treatment. Emma had stopped singing 3 months ago. For a child who once sang everywhere, in the bath, at breakfast, even in her sleep, the silence was a death sentence worse than the disease itself. But on this April afternoon in 1992, something impossible was about to happen. A black sedan pulled quietly into the staff entrance of Melbourne's Royal Children's Hospital. Security had cleared the corridors. Doctors paused mid-rounds. Nurses held their breath. The door opened. Blonde hair caught the autumn sun. That famous, gentle smile appeared. Olivia Newton-John stepped out. She wasn't here for a photo op. She wasn't here for publicity. She was here because a dying child had whispered her name. And Olivia had canceled a world tour to answer. What happened in room 304 over the next 4 hours would break every heart in that hospital. And it would save a life. But nobody, not the doctors, not the media, not even Olivia herself, could have predicted what Emma would do with that gift 20 years later. This is that story. 3 weeks earlier, Olivia had been in her Malibu home, staring at the Pacific Ocean through floor-to-ceiling windows. The waves rolled in with their eternal rhythm, indifferent to human suffering. She'd been doing that a lot lately, staring at things, looking for answers in the patterns of nature. The phone call from her sister Rona had come at dawn. "Liv, there's a little girl in Melbourne, 7 years old, leukemia. She's asking for you." Olivia had closed her eyes. "What's her name?" "Emma. Emma Whitmore." The name settled into her chest like a stone dropping into still water. Emma. 7 years old. The same age Olivia had been when she'd first understood that the world contained both magic and heartbreak, often in the same moment. "Tell them I'm coming," she'd said. Her manager had protested. The tour schedule was impossible. The American media would crucify her for canceling appearances. There were contracts, obligations, millions of dollars at stake. But Olivia had simply smiled that smile, the one that looked soft but concealed steel, and said, "Then they'll crucify me. Book the flight." Emma Whitmore had stopped singing 3 months ago. This was significant because Emma had always sung. In the bathtub, at breakfast, during her parents' dinner parties, absolutely everywhere. Her mother, Sarah, would later describe her daughter's voice as relentless joy put to melody. But when the diagnosis came, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, aggressive, stage 4, the singing had stopped. The treatments followed. Chemotherapy that made her small body revolt against itself, radiation that burned her from the inside, experimental drugs that promised hope and delivered only nausea. Through it all, Emma remained silent, until one evening when a nurse had been changing her iFool and humming absent-mindedly. "That's hopelessly devoted to you," Emma had whispered, her first words in days. The nurse had frozen. "You know Olivia Newton-John?" Emma's eyes, huge in her thinning face, had filled with something that looked almost like light. "She makes everything feel possible." Sarah Whitmore had heard this exchange from the hallway. That night she'd written a letter, not to Olivia's agent or publicist, but directly to Olivia's foundation. She didn't ask for money. She didn't ask for autographs. She asked for something more impossible. "My daughter is forgetting how to hope. If there's any way at all, could Olivia help her remember?" 3 weeks later, Olivia was walking through the hospital doors. Hospital coordinator Janet Morris had been preparing for this moment for 48 hours straight. Security protocols, media blackout. Even the other patients' families had been asked to remain in their rooms during the visit. Not for Olivia's privacy, but for Emma's dignity. "She doesn't know you're coming," Janet told Olivia as they stood outside the pediatric oncology ward. "Her mother wanted it to be a surprise. She's afraid that if Emma knows, and you can't make it." "I'm here," Olivia said simply. "Show me where." Room 304 was at the end of a long hallway, painted with murals of underwater scenes. Dolphins and sea turtles and coral reefs in colors too bright to exist in nature. Someone had tried to make this place feel less like where children came to fight death. Olivia paused in front of one mural, a sea turtle swimming toward the surface, toward light. "That's Emma's favorite," Sarah Whitmore said softly, appearing beside her. The woman looked hollowed out, held together only by fierce maternal will. "She says the turtle looks determined." Their eyes met. No words were needed. Sarah was looking at Olivia not as a star, but as a woman who'd also looked into darkness and chosen to keep swimming toward light. "Is she awake?" Olivia asked. "She's always awake now. Too much pain to sleep." Olivia reached into her bag and pulled out something wrapped in tissue paper. "Then let's not keep her waiting." Sarah's hand went to her mouth. "You brought everything I promised, and some things I didn't." The door to room 304 stood closed. Behind it, a 7-year-old girl lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, counting the tiles for the 1,000th time. 48 tiles. 12 fluorescent lights. One window facing east, toward the sunrise she might never see again. Emma Whitmore had no idea that her entire world was about to change. The door opened slowly. Emma didn't turn her head at first. Doctors and nurses came and went with such frequency that she'd learned to conserve energy, to choose which moments deserved her attention. But then she heard her mother's voice, trembling with something that sounded like tears and laughter mixed together. "Emma, sweetheart, you have a visitor." "I don't want to see anyone," Emma said flatly. Then another voice spoke. A voice Emma had heard 1,000 times on cassette tapes, on the radio, in her dreams when fever made the world soft and strange. "Not even me?" Emma's head snapped toward the door so fast that pain shot through her neck. But she didn't care. She couldn't care. Because standing in the doorway, backlit by the hallway's fluorescent glow like an angel in denim and white cotton, was Olivia Newton-John. The room fell silent. Emma's mouth opened, but no sound emerged. Her eyes, those enormous eyes that had seen too much suffering for 7 years, filled with tears that spilled immediately, tracking down her hollowed cheeks. "Hey there," Olivia said softly, moving into the room with the grace that had made millions fall in love with her. She moved like light itself, present but not overwhelming, warm but not burning. "I'm Olivia, and I've heard so much about you." Emma still couldn't speak. Her small hands gripped the blanket so tightly that her knuckles went white. Olivia pulled a chair close to the bed, not too close, respecting the fragile boundary between comfort and invasion, and sat down. She was at eye level now. Equal. Not a celebrity visiting a sick child, but one human being meeting another in the sacred space of suffering. "Your mom told me you love to sing," Olivia continued. "She said you know all my songs." Emma finally found her voice. It came out as a whisper. "I used to." "Used to? I can't anymore. The singing, it went away." Olivia nodded slowly, and in her eyes, Emma saw something she hadn't seen in any adult's face since the diagnosis. Understanding without pity. Recognition without fear. "I know about that," Olivia said. "About losing things that feel like part of your soul." Olivia reached into her bag and brought out the tissue-wrapped package. She placed it gently on Emma's lap. "This is for you, from one singer to another." Emma's thin fingers trembled as she unwrapped it. Inside was a leather journal, cream-colored pages blank and waiting. But it wasn't just any journal. Embedded in the cover was a small music box mechanism, and when Emma opened it, a delicate version of Hopelessly Devoted to You began to play. "I've had this since 1978, Olivia said quietly. "John Travolta gave it to me on the last day of filming Grease. He said, 'Keep your dreams in here, so they're always playing.'" Emma stared at the journal, then at Olivia, then back at the journal. "But this is yours." "It was mine. Now it's yours. Because here's what I learned, Emma. Sometimes we have to give away our most precious things to remember what makes them precious." Sarah Whitmore, standing in the corner, pressed her hand to her mouth to stifle a sob. Emma's fingers traced the journal's cover. "What if I don't have any dreams to write?" "Then we'll find them together." And that's when it happened. The moment that would later be described by everyone present as inexplicable, miraculous, the most beautiful thing I've ever witnessed. Olivia began to sing. Not loud, not performatively, just a soft, almost whispered version of "I Honestly Love You," the song that had won her a Grammy, that had been played at 1,000,000 weddings, that contained in its simple lyrics an entire philosophy of human connection. "Maybe I hang around here a little more than I should." Her voice filled the room the way morning light fills a dark space. Gradually, gently, inevitably. It wrapped around Emma like a blanket made of sound, like arms that could hold you when your own mother's arms weren't enough. We both know I got somewhere else to go. And then, impossibly, miraculously, Emma's lips began to move. At first it was just breath, just the shape of words without sound. But Olivia saw it, recognized it, and her own voice grew slightly stronger, making space for what was coming. "But I got something to tell you." Emma's voice emerged like a butterfly from a chrysalis, fragile, tentative, but undeniably alive. She was singing. After 3 months of silence, she was singing. That I never thought I would. Their voices merged, Olivia's professional and polished, Emma's thin and wavering, but real. So real. Sarah Whitmore slid down the wall into a sitting position, both hands over her mouth, tears streaming freely. "But I believe you really ought to know." Nurses appeared in the doorway. Dr. Patterson, Emma's oncologist, materialized from somewhere, his eyes wide behind his glasses. Janet Morris, the coordinator, stood frozen in the hallway, her clipboard forgotten. "I love you." The song continued, 2 voices now inseparable, one teaching the other how to hope again. Emma's eyes never left Olivia's face. And Olivia, who had sung this song 10,000 times in stadiums, on television, in recording studios, was singing it now, as if for the first time, as if it had been written for this exact moment, this exact room, this exact child. "I honestly love you." When the final note faded, silence rushed back in. But it was a different silence than before. Not the heavy, suffocating silence of despair, but the light, trembling silence of wonder. Emma was smiling. It transformed her face, made her look like what she should have been. A 7-year-old girl filled with magic and mischief, not a patient filled with poison and pain. "I sang," she whispered, awestruck. "Olivia, I sang." "You did," Olivia said, reaching out to take Emma's small hand in hers. "And you know what? You sounded beautiful. Will you stay? Just a little longer?" Olivia glanced at Sarah, who nodded through her tears, and then back at Emma. "Honey, I'll stay as long as you want me to." What happened next wasn't dramatic in the cinematic sense. There were no more tears, no more grand revelations, just hours, precious, ordinary hours, of 2 people existing together in the small space of room 304. Olivia and Emma talked about everything and nothing, about dolphins and butterflies, about what it felt like to stand on a stage in front of thousands of people, terrifying and wonderful at the same time. About Emma's dog, Cooper, who waited at home and didn't understand why his person hadn't come back. About the sea turtle in the hallway mural and how determination and stubbornness were sometimes the same thing. Olivia taught Emma a harmony to Xanadu. Emma taught Olivia a joke about a penguin in a desert. They looked through the leather journal together, and Olivia wrote on the first page in her elegant script, "For Emma, may this book hold all the dreams you're brave enough to dream. With love and belief, Olivia." April 1992. Around 4 o'clock, Emma's energy began to fade. The medications were wearing off, and pain crept back into her features like shadows reclaiming a room. Olivia saw it immediately. "Hey," she said softly. "Want me to sing you something quiet?" Emma nodded, her eyes already half closed. Olivia didn't choose a hit. She chose a lullaby her own mother had sung to her as a child in Cambridge, England, before the family had moved to Australia, before stardom, before everything. It was in German, "Guten Abend, gute Nacht," and she sang it now with her hand on Emma's forehead, her voice barely above a whisper. Sarah Whitmore watched from the corner as her daughter, her precious, suffering daughter, relaxed for the first time in months. Emma's breathing deepened, her small fists unclenched, and just before she drifted into sleep, she murmured, "Don't go away forever, okay?" "Never," Olivia promised. "I'm right here." Olivia stayed until Emma fell into deep sleep. Then she stood and met Sarah's eyes in the hallway. "Thank you," Sarah whispered. "There aren't words." "You don't need words," Olivia said gently. "Just keep loving her. That's everything." Dr. Patterson approached. "That was remarkable. In 23 years, I've never seen anything like it." "Can I come back tomorrow?" Olivia asked. Sarah's head snapped up. "You'd come back?" "For as long as Emma needs me." And she did. For 2 weeks, Olivia Newton-John spent her afternoons in room 304. The media eventually caught wind, but by then she was gone, leaving behind something that couldn't be photographed. Hope. Emma Whitmore survived. Against all odds, remission came in June 1992. At 19, she founded Songs for Healing, music therapy for pediatric cancer wards. At 25, on a Sydney stage, she held up the worn leather journal. "Olivia gave me this when I was dying. She gave me my voice back. Now help me give that gift to others." $4 million raised that night. Emma is 38 now. Married, 2 children. Australia's largest music therapy program. A photograph on her wall. 7-year-old girl, blonde woman, both singing. Every year, a handwritten card arrives. "With love and belief, Olivia." When Olivia Newton-John passed away in August 2022, Emma opened the journal one last time. "You weren't just a star. You were the woman who sat with a dying child, giving light because that's what you did. You showed me that even in darkness, there's still a song worth singing. The light you gave me has never dimmed. I honestly love you." Emma. Outside room 304, a plaque now reads, "In memory of Olivia Newton-John, 1948 to 2022, who taught us that sometimes the best medicine is sitting with someone in their darkness and reminding them there's still light." Below it, a music box plays, "Hopelessly Devoted to You." If you listen carefully, you can hear 2 voices singing, teaching us that hope isn't something you have, it's something you give.